The hall of the Galactic Empire's Grand Council was a monument to power and arrogance. Marble pillars stretched higher than sight, banners of 1,000 conquered worlds draped in shimmering fabric, and in the center, a dais where the Emperor himself sat upon a throne of star iron. Around him, alien nobles gathered, representatives of empires that had bent the knee, each one eager to display loyalty to the crown of the galaxy. And in the middle of it all, chained, beaten, and dragged forward by guards, was Earth's first diplomat. Ambassador Nathan Hale had come bearing a simple request: dialogue. Humanity was young to the stars. Only a few decades past the invention of faster-than-light travel, but they had learned quickly that the galaxy was ruled not by cooperation, but by empire. Yet they believed naively that reason could temper violence, that treaties could soften cruelty. Nathan had been the voice of that hope. The Emperor rose, his segmented armor gleaming like obsidian in the light of 100 hovering drones. His voice echoed through the chamber, translated into every tongue simultaneously. This human comes from a world not yet conquered, a species that presumes it deserves a voice in the council of the strong. But let all worlds know what fate awaits those who resist the Empire's will. Nathan raised his head, bloody and swollen, yet his voice still carried, hoarse but steady. Humanity will not kneel, not to tyrants, not to butchers. We came in peace, but you show only fear of what you do not control. You fear us because you know, one day, your empire will fall. The Emperor's mandibles clicked in amusement. He raised a clawed hand, and a pyre was wheeled into the chamber. The flames were fed by chemical accelerants that burned green and blue, flickering with unnatural brightness. Gasps rippled through the audience, but none dared protest. Nathan was bound to the stake, and as the fire was lit, he did not scream. He locked eyes with the Emperor, unblinking, as the flames consumed him. His last words, choked but defiant, echoed across the chamber, captured by every recording device. Tell Earth never forgive. The fire roared and silence fell. The Emperor spread his arms wide. Thus ends humanity's defiance. But in truth, it had only begun. The transmission was meant as humiliation. The recording was broadcast to every world, every colony, every fleet of the Galactic Empire. But it also reached Earth. It reached the unified human council, the generals of the defense fleet, the colonies stretching across the Sol system. And when the people saw their envoy burned alive, something ancient and unyielding stirred in humanity's heart. The council met in silence. For once, there were no arguments, no politics. The diplomats lowered their eyes. The admirals clenched their fists. The president stood and spoke a single sentence. The time for peace has passed. The first strike came not as a warning, but as vengeance. The Empire's frontier outpost on Zarak Prime reported blaring alarms, then went silent. When an Imperial fleet arrived hours later, they found nothing but wreckage, metal twisted by precision strikes, orbital defense platforms gutted from within. Soldiers turned to statues of ash. Not one human ship remained. Only the sigil of Earth carved into the planet's surface with orbital bombardment. A single blue circle, scarred with fire. At first, the Empire laughed. They had crushed thousands of rebellions, exterminated entire species who dared rise against them. What were humans but another primitive race drunk on pride? But then came the second strike, and the third. Imperial supply lines burned in silence. Entire fleets disappeared into the void. Garrisons woke to find their skies blackened with swarms of human ships. Not the massive, cumbersome dreadnoughts of the Empire, but sleek, vicious predators, designed not for intimidation, but for efficiency. Humans did not fight like other species. They adapted. They broke rules of engagement. They struck where no sane commander would strike, and retreated only to strike again harder. Their warships ran dark, using technologies the Empire had dismissed as impossible. Their soldiers were deathworlders, creatures evolved on a planet where everything tried to kill you, where survival demanded cunning and brutality. And when humanity declared war, they did not fight to win territory. They fought to annihilate. Admiral Varkuin of the Empire watched helplessly as reports flooded his command throne. Another fleet lost at Vega Bastion. The mines at Rastal overrun. The 7th Legion wiped out. His mandibles clicked in frustration. How many humans were there? He demanded. Less than a division, Lord Admiral, the officer stammered. But they fought like demons. Demons. Yes, that was the word spreading through the Empire. Demons from a death world, immune to fear, unbroken by torture, who killed with precision that bordered on madness. Varkuin turned his eyes to the war map. For centuries, the Empire had known only conquest. For the first time, the red tide of loss spread across its borders. Humanity was not a rebellion to be crushed. Humanity was a plague of fire. On Earth, Nathan Hale's name became sacred. Every ship bore his words painted on their hull. Never forgive. His image was carved into the armor of Marines, sung in battle hymns, whispered in the silence before combat. Humanity did not fight for expansion. They did not fight for resources. They fought for Nathan, for every insult, for every world enslaved by the Empire's arrogance. Their fury burned hotter than suns, and it spread faster than light. The Emperor sat upon his throne, the weight of centuries pressing upon his shoulders. He had underestimated them. Worse, he had awoken something unstoppable. His advisors urged caution, retreat, negotiation. But the Emperor remembered the humans' last words. You fear us because you know. And he did fear. For the first time in his reign, the Emperor feared. The war spread until the galaxy itself trembled. Empires that had bowed for millennia now hesitated, watching the humans carve through fleets thought invincible. Slave races began to whisper rebellion, emboldened by the sight of the unyielding deathworlders. The Empire, once eternal, bled from 1,000 wounds. And at the heart of it all, humanity pressed forward, silent and merciless. They did not negotiate. They did not stop. They remembered Nathan Hale's death, burned into the collective memory of Earth. Never forgive. Never forgive. And so, when the humans' fleet finally stood before the Empire's capital, black ships blotting out the stars, the galaxy understood the truth. You could enslave 1,000 worlds. You could break 1,000 armies. But you should never, never burn a human alive, because humanity's vengeance was not a rebellion. It was war without end,